Welcome back to the Art of Healing podcast. This is Charlyce, and thank you as always for joining me. It's always a pleasure to connect, and although I don't get to hear your voice, I hope you are doing well. And I do want to remind you listeners that you should connect with me if you have questions, anything you want to discuss. My email and all of my social media connections will be in the link, the show notes. I would like to introduce a guest that we're having today. So you're going to be meeting Justin Frandson, and you're going to be learning about EMFROCKS. And as a customer myself now, I'm really excited to introduce Justin and his products. Justin is a renowned athleticism performance coach and an author. He specializes in nerve work and is the founder of athleticism.com and EMFROCKS.com. He's been working in the field of athletic performance for over 25 years. Justin is the author of the book Athleticism, Whole Body, Whole Brain Performance, which delves into the connection between athletic performance and the environment. Frandson became interested in the impact of environmental factors on athletic performance after noticing that many of his athletes were breaking down due to the effects of wearable technology. In response to this, he looked to nature for solutions for man-made EMF. His grounding bags, which are sold at doctors' clinics across the country, are the leading natural answer for people coexisting with EMF, electromagnetic frequency. So we're going to be discussing details of what that is, what steps you should take if you're concerned if EMF is affecting your health, and where to learn more about Justin and where to make your purchase. I'm using them now, and I will say I noticed a difference in my sleep quality almost right away. So I'm really excited to share with you listeners. All right, let's get started. Hi, Justin. How are you
Amazing.
doing?
Charlyce, thanks for having me on.
Thank you for being on. Well, I'm so excited to share with my listeners about your products, about your company. I've done some of an introduction, but do you mind introducing yourself to us
You bet.
briefly?
I'm an athleticism performance coach. I started athleticism.com 25 years ago. We're in our 25th year of business, so that's exciting to me. And our goal is to help more people this year than in the past 25. And so that's what we're doing this year. So within my practice, I work with amateur and professional athletes and do nerve work for sports performance. I treat concussions, and so I do just an array of different coordination and fascia and nervous system work. And what I saw was our athletes breaking down from wearable technology, and that's what brought me into the EMF space.
Interesting. So, for the listeners, for me as well, can you explain to us what is EMF? We've been hearing this term. A lot of us really aren't that familiar with. We hear people talking about it on podcasts, on the news, on social media. Please explain to us what is
You got it,
EMF?
Charlie. So EMFs are electromagnetic fields or frequencies. They can be either native or non-native. So the ones that are affecting us are the non-native ones, which are one-directional waveforms. So they're literally one directional. They're made in one-directional laser-esque beams. So it's different than how we're made, and it chips away at our energy field and then our chemistry in our body. We're made on scalar waves that are unpolarized, that distribute equally in every direction. So a perfect example of that would be if we drop a pebble in a pond, does the splash of the pond go in a circular resonance, or does it go in a straight line to the right or left? Well, it goes in a circular resonance out in every direction. That's a scalar wave. That's a framework for our planet. There's a window right here. You can still see light underneath my hand. Like, why is that? Unpolarized waveforms that, waves and particles, they'll refract, and we can see things that, and that's how we coexist with our environment. But this man-made stuff, it's just different than how we rev, sleep, and optimize, and that's the challenge.
I know that as I've been reading some of your work, haven't read your book yet, but as I've been reading from your website some of your materials, it somewhat affirmed a struggle that I had, because the wearable technologies are great in my medical practice. They give us a lot of nice info. I personally don't wear them, and I don't like them. I'm a Reiki master, so I try to balance that out, but like if the attempts I've had to wear smartwatches, I just can't do it. I'm like, but even when I'm actually working with Reiki clients, I have to take off all my jewelry. I can't take that on me. So yeah, so reading some of your work, it sort of affirmed a silent conversation I had of like, I talk to people about wearables and then I don't use them. So I feel a little bit of a hypocrite. So what does EMF do to our minds and our bodies?
Well, first of all, I just want to reaffirm like your feeling. Like that's a gift. You have obviously gifts. Like, there's no doubt about it. When you can feel energy and help facilitate moving energy, that's a crazy gift as well. And the people that are sensitive to EMF, I call that a gift as well. Not just, it's not a curse. It's literally a gift. You can feel energy. You know what's enhancing for your body and what's not. Like that is something that we got to lean into. And people need to be able to feel what's right for them and what's not. And this whole technology movement is trying to trick us into this meta universe. It's like, they'll tell you what to do. They'll give you all your information. They'll tell you how you slept. They'll tell you how many steps to take. They'll tell you when to eat and all of that. And we want to get out of that. We want to connect above and get grounded and know how you feel. So I just want to honor you on that.
Thank you. Thank you. So for those of us, because as I had been, it really was quite affirming because I'd heard this term EMF. I'd hear it just in passing, but we do feel this. So when we're in EMF or it's around us, it does actually impact us physically and mentally, it sounds like.
The first steps for the medical world, I think everyone really wants to hear the science behind it. Why does EMF affect us? Mm-hmm. Dr. Martin Paul out of Washington State University talked about the voltage-gated calcium channels opening up. So his research showed that the first step was a secondary effect of those calcium channels opening up. But let's break down those 4 words. Like those are huge. Like that's the gateway for cellular mitochondria functioning. You're breaking down literally the energy of your cells, the powerhouse of your cells, right out of the gate with EMF. That's crazy. It's literally an oxidative stress, 2.45 gigahertz, which is the same bandwidth that they're rolling out all the technology, whether it's at Oura Ring or a smartwatch or your cell phones, and then on up. But that's the first level where water is destructured. So it's literally dehydrating us and our planet. So we're under attack in so many different ways. It calcifies our pineal gland, the first levels, and then from there I break it into, well, we're not done yet. We break it into level 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 is all cognitive. Lack of focus, memory, anxiety, fatigue, stress, headaches, ringing in the ears, behavioral challenges. Then we go into level 2, non-trauma concussion symptoms, nausea, vomiting, seizures, muscle twitching, bloody noses, ringing in the ears, rashes on the skin. Then we go into the bigs: cancer, suicide, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease. And then the biggest one we're seeing, Charlyce, is the lack of fertility, infertility right now. And even now, one more thing to add on, which is a cool fun fact. We can get into it at a little later in the talk, but we can use our grounding bags, which is our solution, and you could tap on it to recharge your eyes, teeth, thymus, and intestine area. So those are the 4 primary areas that get decharged from EMF, and then you become a gateway to all that other dis-ease or lack of circulation in the body.
Many of my patients complain of focus. The complaint of being unable to focus is increasing. And I mean, sometimes it feels like a third of my patients come in with the chief complaint of, I can't focus. I have ADHD. One observation, I'm just going to run this past you. You didn't even know this question was coming, but as I notice as I'm talking to the patient, they'll have on a wearable device. I don't wear one. So again, this is a little hard for me to tune in with, but I'll notice that they often engage in the device while they're talking to me. They'll reach up and send a message, or I don't really know what the devices do, but they will engage and even interrupt their own train of thought. So I don't know if you have some insight on that, because I see it all the time and I'm not even sure what I'm seeing. So I'm like, that's so odd. Did the watch make them interact? Did they feel a need? And often that's their complaint is I can't focus. They pick up the device and interrupt themselves mid sentence, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
And they don't even know it. Like, it's so wild. We've been
Yeah.
so conditioned, and we're behind the eight ball on this, where we gotta start to have some awareness and see what our mannerisms are and how we're interacting with people, and get this technology really establish proximity protocols with it. And we can use it, but not let it use us. So when they're using the devices, they're ringing or vibrating or lighting up or some cue that'll have them look at it. But I feel at a more invisible state, we're going to go into, I'm all about the coherence, creating a coherence between us and our environment. So we live in this environment that we're coherent with. At least it was until they started rolling out all these invisible, one-directional, polarizing waveforms. And so our goal is to connect into that environment, because we have this thing called this living collective intelligence matrix, where we're one with our universe. We are it, it is us, and we're one with it, and we rev really well with it. So on a scientific level, these waveforms travel through the air, which is ether or plasma, and that's how we're able to communicate. And it's the same way the one-directional waveforms communicate with us through the air, but they're invisible, so we don't always think of it as a stressor. But when we break down the speed of our brainwave state throughout the day, when we're in an optimal performance state, it's low and slow. Charlyce says it's like one with the universe. So our brainwave state, when we're sleeping, for instance, we're at 1 or below 1 to 8 hertz or waves per second. Half is delta, the upper half is the theta brainwave state. We're in a deeper REM state. You can really get into those lucid dreams and start to create your destiny and manifest things. Then we go into the alpha state, when you're about 8 to 13, 14 hertz or waves per second. So that's how low and slow we rev when we're in the flow state. Now, these one-directional waveforms on our cell phones are 2.45 billion waves per second of a one-directional waveform. On up, 5G is 60 to 90 billion waves per second. That's crazy. We had 10 zeros to anyone's bank account. That's a big deal, right? So it's the same with a one-directional waveform. So whether it's the bandwidth that's pinging us and pinging our cognitive and our nervous system, or all the bells and whistles on it, that's what's disruptive. And it definitely is the invisible waveforms when we're sleeping. So it acts like someone's tapping you on your shoulder saying, talk to me. And so we don't get into these deeper states of restorative sleep. We go into what we call a twilight sleep. And then when we're awake, it just takes us out of those flow states and gives us disarray. So you end up being in the more beta above gamma states, where you're way awake and kind of like a little jittery.
Okay, that's interesting, and thank you for that explanation. So let's talk about your solution. And I've been so lucky to receive your gift, which has been amazing. I didn't even know something like this existed, but can we talk about EMFROCKS and what the solution is that your company
Yes,
provides?
definitely. So let me ask you and your listeners a question. Do you or anyone you know looks to nature to get outside into nature to get grounded?
I do. I try to. I need more. I'll be frank. I could always use more. I'm like a sad indoor cat sometimes staring out the window when I'm at work, but I think all the listeners would agree with me. Yes.
So our technology is just that, getting out into nature, what we all want to do more of. And so we're bringing the Earth's resonance, where we hand mine crystals, and then we're bringing those crystals into your home. So literally it's like walking barefoot in a bag, that you can bring the frequency healing of the earth that we love getting when we're all outside, and everyone looks to it to get grounded, but we're just bringing it inside our home. And these crystals are pink, beautiful colloid crystals. They've been compressed from an underground water source. They have moisture with magnetic properties. So the combination makes them exponentially stronger for EMF protection. And this is the end product. You use it as is, put it on your bed or under it. It's got to be touching the bed. And then you'll sleep 3% to up to 60% deeper is what third-party independent doctor studies showed. Over 3 months, consistently, 60% deeper. That's unbelievable. And you can use it 5 together in your home, clear 2,000 square feet, 7 if you have solar, and then you need 7 in an electric car, because I want to lean in on that, get on that. That topic is, oof, it's a hot one right now. It's not healthy to sit on a massive battery, so you need 7. And then you could put one of these on your bed, desk, car seat. So any device, and I call like the bed a device, because if it's touching the wall, it's charged to the level of the outlet. You want to clear with one grounding bag at least touching it.
So when we get our product, when we get our rocks, the way that they're used is they need to stay in the bag that they came in, and then the number that you buy will clear the square footage you were
Right.
explaining.
So as the more, you can't get enough good. So the more of the resonance of the earth you can compile together. So the more grounding bags you put together, they kick off a bigger amplification and have more positive effects versus putting them perimeter wise. And then if you're just having it on your desk, that's going to be great. If you're putting it under your car seat, that's going to be great. Or in your bed, just one on your bed. That's where I just encourage everyone to start. I want you to get a deeper night's sleep for the first time in a long time, where you don't want to wake up. That's what the grounding bags do. We sell them through doctor clinics all around the country. It's one of the leading natural EMF protection products, and physicians alike, like your colleagues, like Dr. Tom Cowan, who has a big voice in the health space. They're big resellers of ours. I was on his, I think, Conversations with Tom Cowan and Friends number 15, like 3 years ago, where we were talking about this when the 5G rollout really made a lot of people sick.
Okay. So the device, and then they need to actually, when they're used in your bedroom, it needs to actually touch your bed, just so the listeners that make their purchase, so it actually needs to touch the bed. And then you also have the grounding bags. I meant to grab one, but the bags that we put our devices in.
Those are Faraday bags. So we have, these are the grounding bags, and then these are the Faraday bags.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And the Faraday bag is for your phone. It protects you from your phone, and it saves the life of your battery from the data harvesting. So what they're doing is they're aggregating so much information from us, Charlyce, that every app has about 1 to 15 trackers on it, and they just keep pulling information. So even if your phone's just sitting here idly off, you're not looking at it, and it's quiet, the battery's just getting sucked. It's listening to everything you're doing, your movements, your gait, how fast you're driving. They know all your bank accounts. They know everything about you. It's crazy. So we got to slow down that aggregation of information.
Okay. So, and I think when I used mine, I think the way I was supposed to use it was after I charge my phone to use the Faraday bag.
Well,
Um, I don't know if I understood that quickly.
you
Yeah,
can,
you once it's charged up, you
you
can
don't
ground the
need to
phone in there.
do that protocol to use the bag. So that's
Oh,
for
okay.
someone who's
Okay.
EMF sensitive and they can't
Got it.
even
Okay.
talk on their phone. So there's a way to normalize the charge of
Oh,
your phone. You take it outside, you charge your phone fully, take it outside before you go to bed, put it on the ground for a few minutes and then ground it out and then bring it back inside and then seal it inside the Faraday bag overnight. And once you do that, then the next day when you turn it on, it should have full charge for the length of your battery life, and it'll normalize that frequency of holding it until you plug it into something dirty again to recharge it.
your solution that not only protects us, it's actually very sustainable, isn't it? Because it keeps us from having to buy more cell phone batteries, having to do cell phone repairs. That's good for the planet and good for
I
us,
agree.
right?
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
Faraday bags are literally there. We have a $12 one, 12.99, and then a where did my smaller one go? Oh, it's hiding from me. And then we have the 14.99 one. So we have this one that's about half the size. So we have a couple different
Yeah.
sizes, but it's the most cost-effective, feasible way to create some distance between you and your phone.
Nice. So, for the listeners that are listening and wanting more information and wanting to go ahead and get some of these to start protecting themselves, what's the best way to find your
Well,
product?
you can go to EMFROCKS.com, and that's where you find them. We sell all our products on athleticism.com. And I just want to add one other note to this. Your phone may not still ring inside of it. It's not a ironclad Faraday
Mhm.
cage that people think of where no frequencies go in and out of it. Frequencies go in and out of these things, but the heavy weight of the bad is squashed to safe levels from what bioinitiative.org would consider safe, or if we're doing applied kinesiology, muscle testing would consider safe. So it's an incredible, viable option. And then these have passed the test. Dr. Berlando, Alphabetic, ALFA, VEDIC did a waveform test with dual impedance antennas, and he measures your chi or any distortion in it, which you would really geek out on because all your Reiki work. But the grounding bags clinically
Yeah,
possibly
yeah.
treat up to 91% of the markers that were off, which is phenomenal. You've never seen an EMF protection product do that. So we're looking for nature's resonance, not a man-made resonance that you're embedding into a pendant that you wear, or a sticker, or a metal plate. That would be like eating GMO food. And I know you don't like eating GMO food. I
Mhm.
sure don't.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
why would we want a
Yeah.
genetically modified resonance in our biofield all day when trying to combat the other man-made resonances? That's not
Yeah.
the idea that we have behind it, that nature intended for us. Nature intended for us to ground with her resonance.
Well, Justin, this has been so informative. I'm so grateful you were able to make it onto the podcast. This is, for me, very informational. I work in science, I work on humans. This is a lot of info that I actually wasn't aware of. So, this is very important.
Thank you, Charlyce. Yeah, one more book to read. Everyone should look up The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Firstenberg. And that is going to be a really incredible resource to understand that these non-native waveforms are making a lot of people sick. And I feel it's the primary reason for diabetes and a lot of these other challenges. It's these glucose levels will spike 200 points when you get a diabetic in an airplane. Like it just, that's how it is nowadays. And so we want to understand that our environment can kill us or allow us to thrive. So let's start to really create a coherence with it and develop proximity protocols and get out into nature throughout the day. And then when you can at night, and we're living in these electrical boxes that we call homes, bring the resonance of the earth into your home.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for joining us. Listeners, you'll check your show notes and I will make sure that you have links to Justin's products. I highly recommend them. I'm a user, I'm a customer now. Justin, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. Thank you, Charlyce, for having me.
Thanks. Thanks, listeners. We'll talk soon. Thank you for joining me for the start of season 6 for the Art of Healing podcast. Don't forget to check your show notes so that you can find more information about EMF Rocks. And I am including a link. I am so lucky that Justin has asked me to partner with his company to offer their grounding EMF protecting products. So in your show notes, you'll see a link where you can go to their website and explore their solutions. I've now been using the EMF Rocks for about 2 months, and I can definitely say that my sleep quality is much better and I'm feeling the benefits every day. So this is something I plan to offer as gifts to my friends and family. I am offering this to my clients. So make sure to check your show notes so that you can read up on all of their products and decide what's going to work for you. I will see you next week, as always. And don't forget, if you aren't getting my weekly newsletter, you'll want to sign up in the show notes. And also, you have 2 websites that you can engage with me now. My Reiki practice at healingartshealthandwellness.com, which is also where my articles and other resources are. And my functional medicine practice, which is available to patients in certain select states at drcharlyce.com. In the show notes, I'll put links to those details, and I'll see you next week. Thank you and Happy New Year.